Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and in this episode, on episode 619 episodes. How crazy cool is that? This is being broadcasted live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all the places. And in this episode, we're talking about who holds your fear. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by who holds your fear? Well, just this last week, I didn't go live at all last week because I was on a speaking gig, and at the event, it was an amazing event. I spoke 3 times, and we had an amazing joint experience on this 3-day conference, or this 3-day summit. Natasha Hazlett's one called Unstoppable Influence. Amazing event. I've been thankful for them. I've been invited back every year that they've been doing it. In fact, it's the one speaking gig I always say yes to, and because I just know that it's amazing. And really, on the event, there was a couple of things which happened. And there's what I love about events, where it be seminars, where it be programs, is because you're not doing it alone, right? You're in it together. You're in it as a community. There's the unity there. And that's something that I really, really enjoyed. And that's what I enjoy in my business. That's where we get tons of transformations, supporting one another and helping one another, because we all feel like we belong. And on this event, one of my friends called Alison Prince went on this. It was a great subject, but one of the parts of the subject, she said something to the words of, "Who holds your fear?" Okay, now you might be thinking, well, I hold my fear. Well, that is true, but are you able to hand over your fear for a while? So in other words, if you have anxieties, worries, and doubts, you have that level of uncertainty, and that just kind of gets in your way, and you feel like, oh my goodness, I've got to do something, I've got to achieve something, I've got this goal, I've got this dream, I want to make money, I want to be abundant, I want that career, I want that business, I want fill in the blank. But when the fear is getting in the way, when that worry and that doubt is holding you back, that becomes the problem. You see, we're sending 2 signals to the inside and the outside. On the one hand, you're like, look, I want this goal, I want this dream, I want to achieve the things that I desire. And then on the other hand, there's a part of us which goes, what if I fail? What if I look silly? What if I succeed? What if I get found out? All of those worries and doubts just hold us down. We feel conflicted. I would also call it resistance. You see, if you were free of resistance, you would feel whole. You would feel in a deep alignment to any endeavor, any outcome, any dream, any desire. You would be in that flow state. But if we're not in a flow state, if you're not living the life the way that you want it, you're not achieving your goals right now, there must be some internal resistance. And that resistance will come up in many different ways. It will come out in our behaviors, in our environment. It will come out in our feelings that we feel. In other words, the anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, shame, all of those negative feelings, the worries and all those things. It comes out to play in the doubts, the self-talk, the inner critic, all of those things. It will actually play out within our belief systems. Our belief systems will actually formulate and cultivate how you see the world around you, right? So we need to get our mind into alignment. We don't want this resistance. We don't want this conflict, because if part of you is saying, yes, I want this, and there's a part of within you that goes, look, I really have something in my mind. I have something on my heart. I have something that I want to achieve. I have a goal. I have a dream. But if there's a percentage of us within us saying no, who are you to have that? And it could be you saying it, it could be the past echoes of everyone who's ever said anything mean. It could be that one person where the remnants of that limiting belief and those limiting thoughts and all those things just replay in our mind, and it holds us back. It gets in our way. It doesn't allow us to experience the freedom that we desire, the goal, the dream, the outcome, all of those things, and we're conflicted. So a part of us is saying yes, but there's a bigger part, or even if it was 50% of us, even if it was 25%, where it be 19, 18, 15, 10, sometimes even 5% off. You are not truly aligned with your desire. And therefore we can self-sabotage, because that fear starts to build up after all. Have you noticed that? That maybe the first time you felt that fear, it may have been a big event or a small event. But then it became familiar. It became like a habit. It became a condition or a conditioning of our mind and our body and our experience. So it feels like it's more consistent. And the more that we act that way, feel that way, react that way, believe that way, that part of us begins to grow within the conflict. We feel more separated, not by just the outside world, because you know what that's like, that people don't understand us. We don't feel like we belong sometimes. We don't even feel like ourselves. And that goes on the inside. It kind of disconnects us from the outside world, but also on the internal world of you. And within you is a whole world. That is your perception. That is what you perceive to be true. That is your experience. That is what we're radiating to the outside, or that is our mirror. That is our perception. That is our reality filter. So if we're having this reality filter which just deletes, distorts, and generalizes those old limiting thoughts and beliefs and feelings, then of course we're going to get mixed results. Have you noticed that sometimes? That some days you're good, then other days you're not. Sometimes you think you're getting close to it, and then you feel like you're taking 2 steps back, because that resistance and that conflict stops us being in that alignment. And as I said, if you were totally, fully, and completely aligned with your desires, consciously and unconsciously, even greater than yourself, maybe your higher truth, whatever that may be, I believe you would be in tune and deep alignment to it, and therefore you will take massive and inspired action and make it a reality. So, going back to the summit that I was attending, Alison Prince said, "Who holds your fear?" And she was saying that she's not a natural public speaker, which I don't know how many there are, but she absolutely disliked it. Doesn't like it, had to learn it, because she makes big changes in the world. She helps people in business and so on. And when she does a talk, which she has to, she says or asks one of her family members to just hold her fear for the time being while she goes on stage, right? So just for a moment, let's go ahead and take my fear so I can then focus on the job at hand. And I thought that was really, really amazing, because I do it in different ways. If I'm starting to have limiting thoughts, say a speaking gig, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's hundreds or 1,000 people there, I want to perform, maybe there is that little doubt which happens in my mind. And in that moment, I ask my unconscious mind to go, look, deal with this for me, let me perform, let me show a way of being, let me hopefully make an impact, even if it's just one person. I want to be able to perform at the highest level possible. So I really go ahead and allow my unconscious mind to support me. Now, of course, that can be pretty tricky if your unconscious mind is running that fear, is running that doubt. So then we go back to Alison's mindset of, okay, so who's going to hold our fear? Is there anyone in your life that kind of resonates and understands and gets you? Is there anyone in your life where you're in it together? Okay, so it could be you and your friend. Maybe you both experience the same thing, and therefore you work and support one another. You hold each other's fears so you can go to where you really want to be in the world. Ask yourself that question. Is there anyone on the journey of your transformation where someone's going through something similar, or something where they can be your guardian angel, they can be your biggest supporter, they can show you the way, they can take you by the hand? Because if we do not, then of course that's where we feel alone. And when we feel alone, we feel like we don't belong. We feel like we're different. I know I felt that way. I just felt like everything was unfixable. I thought I was broken. When I experienced the worries, the fears, the doubts, the dread, all of that stuff, I didn't feel like I could connect with anyone because I didn't know anyone who A, experienced it, or B, who could overcome it with me or has overcame with it. Number C, letter C. Okay, so when we go into that deeper level, that is why I find group transformation amazing. Okay, so on this event, we were all in it together. Even as a speaker, I'm there for everyone attending. I want to be able to lift them up. I always say, like in relationships, we've got to lift people up. We've got to shine a light on them. Like whether it be friendships or relationships, I want to be lifting them up. I want to support them. And we do need to feel support. Because like I said, we feel lost or we feel alone, and therefore we feel disconnected, and therefore we feel broken and unfixable. But as soon as you go ahead and notice there's someone else out there who has either had the issue, overcame the issue, or is going to support you through that journey, guess what? You don't feel as alone anymore. You feel like actually there's someone out there who can hold that fear with me on that journey, can allow me to grow and shine, and hopefully like lead me to where I want to be, to that goal, that dream, and that desire. You see, even with my program, my system, or even the weekend events that I occasionally run or trainings that I run, we make sure we're heavily invested in the support system, because that support system lifts you up. Imagine as if you had, where it be like a weekend seminar, let's take the one that I'm running in a month or so. If you had and you gained like 100 supporters just on that weekend, or even just 20 people, even just 5 people, even just one person, but if you had an army of supporters just like you, I can guarantee you will feel less alone. Now let's differentiate that a little bit, because your army of supporters you don't want them to be the kind of person who gives into reasons and give into excuses or enables you, because sometimes, and this is nothing against all support groups, but sometimes support groups, it can be initially good because oh my goodness, there's someone just like me. But then that support group on the rare occasion can actually start to limit us because we keep on talking about the same old thing. And it also like reaffirms like, oh, that's why I am like I am. Oh, that's why I'm unhappy. Oh, that's why I'm broke. Or that's why I can never have a relationship, because all these other people are saying the exact same thing. So it is important to be able to cultivate who you surround yourself with. So ask yourself, who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you being lifted up? And also, are you lifting up? Are you being lifted up to get you to where you want to be? Are you the person that can support someone in that tribe, in that community? Because as I was saying, like in my community, I want to make sure that we come together, whether it be on the group coaching, whether it be in the support group. I want to make sure that we all know we're in it together, but also we don't have any excuses. Like we're here together as a unity within that community. We're in it together because we are like one another in our desire to change and transform. And in those cases, sometimes you can then, like in our system, let me hold your fear, right? If you doubt the issue, yourself, or even the program, let me hold your fear for a while. Let me hold your fear so we can focus on getting the result. so we can start to be able to be the person that we want to be in the world, that we can actually allow ourselves to transform and transcend our experience. Because when we do that, that's when we feel liberated. We start to like take off some of that baggage and go, okay, I trust this person, or I trust this community. I can be vulnerable yet still take responsibility. That's what I love about my program, or that's what I love about running my seminars or events and so on, because we can come together and recognize ourselves within each other, but also recognize that person is wanting to drive forward, as do I. So I really ask yourself, or to ask yourself, who can hold your fear? Who knows how to get you from where you are to where you want to be? Now, of course, I could say, look, everyone apply for my program. Just do it, your life will transform. I could easily say that. And I do say on my episodes that, look, I run an 8-week system. We let go of the issue. We have that community. But let's just go ahead and say that you want community because you're not a good fit for my system. Maybe you're not at that level yet, or you're not ready to invest, or you're not ready to, or maybe like my solution just doesn't solve what you're after, because I only want to make sure I solve the imposter syndrome, the low self-esteem, to get people to where they want to be as a professional. So let's just say that's the case. Well, who else can you seek out, whether it be in person or online? Whether it be meetup groups, whether it be friends, you've got to surround yourself with people, because you've heard me say this before. It's a very well-known quote that you are the sum of the 5 closest people around you. So if your sum of people showing up right now is not that supportive, you need to gain more people. You need to be able to bring more people into your tribe. You need more people on your side. You want that army of supporters going, look, we can do this together. Yes, there'll be challenges on the way. Yes, there'll be things to overcome and learn, but we're in it. There are so many people out there in the world who have experienced something that you've gone through, who've overcame it, or the very least, ideally you want a combination. So you want someone who's overcame it, but also other people on the same mission as you of solving it, wanting to solve it. Because when you have within a group of people, where it be just one other person, where it be 50 people, that means you have a mission together. You have an ambition together. You have a vision as to where you're all heading. If we're all pulling in different directions, too preoccupied with ourselves, then of course that's not that community. You want to be able to lift them up as they will want to lift you up. And when you go about life that way, you add people into your life. Sometimes you let go of people. I know some great people who have decided not to be in certain situations, where it be their career because it was toxic, or they didn't like the person because they weren't being allowed to do the things that they want to do, or they just felt like they were bullies and all those kind of things. They've made a decision to assume responsibility, to take themselves from one place, unplant themselves from a toxic environment, and then replant themselves into a nurturing environment, an environment which will allow you to change and transform in the most powerful, wonderful, brilliant way. You see, as a community, that's what we do. And we know in the world right now that there is a lot of noise. There's lots of polar opposites. And we can say, well, okay, it's about the culture, it's about the news, it's about politics, governments, neighborhoods, states, cities, countries. There's all these different sides. So we get that on that kind of macro style, macro scale even. But on that more individual level, that's who you want to be able to get on your side. That's who you want as your biggest supporters. I remember when I got my book deal, like with Hay House, and it reminded me of the phrase of standing on the shoulders of giants, right? So you want to be with people who can support you and lift you up, who are ahead of you and who can kind of take you by the hand. And I think we actually mentioned that as if you want to put your hand out to climb up that mountain, but someone's got to come down to meet you where you live and bring you back up, as long as you're willing to take responsibility to go on that journey. It's so much easier than figuring it out by yourself. You see, you don't know what you don't know, so therefore it's hard to figure out what you need to know. And what makes it very good in many ways, but also very confusing in many other ways, are there are so many different methodologies, there are so many different books, there's so many different counselors, there's so many different hypnotherapists, there's so many different vehicles of change, some good, some not so good. Because I'm not even doubting the vehicle, but sometimes the person running the vehicle. You could go to a great hypnotist, or you could go to someone who's just practicing right now, and maybe they don't have that experience to work with you. So there are many different multi-levels of all the noise out there, although with the intention of good. Like, there's thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of amazing books out there who could probably really help you. But sometimes you need more attention than just a book. Sometimes you need more attention than just a podcast episode. It can help us and get us by, it can realign us, and make that epiphany, that awakening, all those things. But sometimes we need to get a little bit closer. We want to be able to surround ourselves, whether it be in that digital form of online, or whether it be in person. Because I don't want you to feel alone. I don't want you to feel as if your journey is a lonely one. I want you to feel like that you have the supporters around you, that your sum of five are the ones going and cheering you on. They're the ones going, look, you can do this. We believe in you. We can take you from where you are to where you want to be, or go on that journey with you, even if we don't know fully how. But we're in it to be able to discover the success and the solution. So that is what I'm interested in. You see, I learned many things over the years. Now, I learned a lot from many hundreds of books, many hundreds of audio programs, but it was my mentors, it was the people who I invested in to be able to support me, or it was close family or friends who were of similar nature. Now, we don't always have that in our life, so that's why we got to acquire people into our life. No one's just going to automatically jump out at you, because, I mean, sometimes they could, but you've got to be the seeker of those people. You want the sum of those people to really get you to where you want to be as this unit, with this one direction. You may have different goals and dreams from one another. For example, in my program, I work with a variety of different kinds of people. They may experience their issue in many different ways. But fundamentally, the root cause of those that I solve comes down to a few different things. And we can talk about it briefly, but very briefly, like the imposter syndrome, or anxiety in business or career, all those things, and like transitioning from careers and business. So it's very, very different, but it comes down the same sequence or the same core thread. So remember, you don't have to be exactly like you, but they've got to have that common goal of vision in some way. But I can guarantee you, just like me, without surrounding with people who are better than me, it's a very, very hard task. So you can invest in yourself. You can look for people out there in the world around you for free. But if you are doing it for free, by the way, just know this. So if you're surrounding yourself with just say friends or a meetup group and all those kind of things, then you want to make sure that you are invested in accountability, right? that's what we've got to make sure we are accountable to one another, because when things are free, then sometimes we might go, well, you know what, I might not show up today. That meeting, I'm a little bit busy right now. But usually when you're like, say, financially invested in something, you're like, I want to get a return on the money that I've invested, all those kind of things. So if we are going to be supporting ourselves around people in more of a free way, which is fine, but it's so important to make sure there is a common goal, but there's also a common accountability, right? To show up, to do what has to be done. That's where the transformation will happen on that freeness side, because otherwise there's no investment, because there's no accountability. So when we're talking about the original subject of like who's holding your fear, well, allow other people to hold your fear in a community, a unity. Allow people to surround yourself with people where they can go, look, I'm going to look after your fear. Let's go ahead and do this. And maybe you'll look after their fear for a little bit. I really love that analogy, that little metaphor. And when you start to apply it, it made total sense to me, because it's the kind of thing that I have done before, right? When I surround myself with people, in a way, unconsciously, I'm giving them the fear to look after, so I can trust the process, so I can look for what the results are. I can be the person I want to be. I can liberate myself from the chains and the blocks and all those things for that moment, where it be even temporary. It gives me the ability to have an epiphany. It gives me the opportunity for an awakening. And really, we want the awakening. We want that liberation. We want that transformation. So once again, ask yourself, who can you bring into your life who is either A, overcame the issue, so therefore they can lead you there. B, those people of a similar goal and nature. So they gotta be a similar goal in terms of character types, of like they don't know all of the answers, but they're willing to be able to figure it out with you, because therefore you're a team. You want to make sure it's more than just one person, ideally, right? Because generative learning, ideas create new ideas. Shared epiphanies are an epiphany gained for the other people in the group. And then really thirdly, you want to make sure ideally there's a mixture of the two, right? You don't want to be the blind leading the blind. Ideally, you want someone who can support you with that. And as I said, look, you can find this stuff for free, right? There's people out there who run community groups. You just got to make sure you're very picky, and that with the freeness of it, sometimes it can lack accountability. It lack accountability with us. And I say that because sometimes, and I bet you've done this before, I can buy a program, a system, and if it's a kind of small money, I forget about it. Like I want the deal, but then I'm like, I might listen to it, and then it gets forgotten and buried. But when you like invest in something a lot bigger, you're like, I'm paying attention to this one. So the reality is that when something is free, the value dramatically decreases. So when value dramatically decreases, you need to at least turn up accountability in some way within that group. Okay, that's the condition of working with people for free, or even a lower investment with other groups or companies or communities, is you want to make sure you can heighten the accountability, because then that will support you as a unity in group. You see, I love running groups, I love running events and trainings and all those things, so we can actually kind of go on that unique journey, that we can really go on that mission and vision. And it doesn't have to be the exact same kind of person. Like I said, just to recap, people in my program come from different walks of life, but they have a common thread. There's a common root cause, and then that root cause shows up in different ways. So make sure that you try to align yourself with people who are on the same kind of mission, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Now, of course, if you would like to go ahead and try to apply for my program, you can go to josephclough.info/talk. You'll be able to book a call with the team. We'll see if we're a good fit. And if we can, we enroll you into your dreams, let go of all the pain, and get you to where you want to be by, on the call, getting clear of what you want to let go of, figuring out what do you exactly want to achieve, get clear on what the unconscious mind's happening beneath the surface, and then come up with a plan to solve it within our system if we can. So that's josephclough.info/talk. Now, the other thing that we are doing, as I mentioned, is the virtual seminar and event. It's a weekend one of really kind of coming together as a community as well. The good thing is, for those in my program, you're getting that for free anyway. Okay, so if we've enrolled you into my program, my 8-week system, you're getting it for free. Okay, so do not go, you can go to josephclough.info/event, but you'll be getting it for free. So there's nothing to pay or invest there. But if you're not in the program, of course, there is an investment attached to it, very, very low of $97 for a whole weekend seminar where we get to really let go of the things which no longer serve us, where we can really come together. And I'm taking aspects of my premium program, some things which I really like. I mean, I love it all, but some things I can put into a weekend. So I'm taking a small portion of that into this, so that's your stepping stone to really start leveraging the transformation. After all, you want to get out of fear, you want to get out of doubt, you want to get out of the conflict. So this could be your very first step. So that is josephclough.info/event. And with that, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to speaking to you on a future one. Many thanks and goodbye.